Streamline your payroll effortlessly with Connect HR. Easily deduct employee contributions on payslips. Simplify your HR process today. Simple HR solutions for the everyday company. Start your 90-day free trial now. Hi everyone, welcome back to yet another banging episode of Connect HR Hangouts. It's your favorite sizzling host, Babi Mawela, and we'd love to have you here. Thank you for joining. Thank you for commenting, liking, subscribing, and sharing our content. Please do continue to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Those are our various social media pages. Please stay tuned. We are dropping weekly. I almost said week by week. That doesn't make sense. Weekly. And you know the house rules. Before you watch our videos, comment, like, share, and subscribe. Today in studio, we've got a very, very special guest. He goes by the name Tuna Bam. I don't want to do the introduction. Welcome, first of all.
Thank you.
I just want you to shine. This is your moment to shine. Please tell us, who is Tuna? What does he do? Where does he come from? We want to know more about you.
Thanks so much for the invite. So, of course, like you have mentioned, my name is Tuna Bam. I'm originally a Namibian.
Is it?
Yes, born and bred there. But came to South Africa about 8 years back.
Okay.
And it was within the learning and development space.
Okay.
Yeah. In my free time, I do a lot of nurturing.
Okay.
Which is plant, and I do here and there painting. I'm still on the beginning stage
Oh,
of painting.
okay.
Painting. So in my professional part, I have started in HR.
Okay.
When I moved from Namibia to South Africa,
Yeah.
I've started as a training officer.
Okay.
And of course, I went through the echelons to a point that I'm now human resources business partner. Which also have a component of learning and development. Currently, I'm underway my studies with an MBA, specializing in HR.
Okay.
So excited for the journey for transformation.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how far are you with your MBA?
I've just started.
Oh, okay.
I've just started.
Okay.
So
That's
I'm
lovely.
hoping that it will be done by next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's mentioned that today we are touching on learning and development. This is my favorite topic, by the way. Mm-hmm. Anything that has to do with any kind of development, I really love and appreciate. Mm-hmm. And let's break some ice. Why learning and development? What drove you towards that direction?
That's actually a very lovely question. So before I joined the HR space, right? I was in customer service arena.
Oh, okay.
So when I was heading the customer services department, one area that I really was thriving in was around training people and development.
Okay.
So as I was there, leading the team, whenever I would then do my intervention, the guys would blossom, which actually made me sit and think, perhaps that should be my avenue to venture into.
It sounds like something that you've discovered as your calling.
Correct. So, and I always say that HR called me, and
Yes.
I didn't call HR. So therefore, the urge to start with in the learning and development space. First, I didn't like it, I must say.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because it's admin intense. But then the reward after you've seen that people have become a different individual.
As a result of
the intervention, I've actually realized that it's an enabler tool.
True.
For people becoming better at an individual level, but then from there it goes into the team level.
Yes.
And then of course it has got a ripple effect.
Then on the organizational part.
Absolutely. So then I've decided, so this is my niche.
Nice.
I grab it.
Okay, so you've mentioned that you've worked in multiple organizations, as I can imagine.
Yes.
So, in your experience, how do organizations measure the effectiveness of learning and development initiatives?
So the measuring of the effectiveness of learning and development, it's not an overnight journey, right?
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's not an overnight journey. It takes quite some time because whatever you have put in today has to
Yes.
grow throughout the time. But of course, there are different segments within learning and development.
Yeah.
Because there is a piece of knowledge, there's a piece of skills and attitude,
Yes.
and also the habits part. But back to your question, how do we measure that? First of all, is the productivity.
Okay.
You need to look at, after we have done this learning and development tool, use that in the business. How productive are we
Yeah.
in the business?
Okay.
And has it met the objective of the
Of
organization?
course. Yes.
That should be number one. Secondly, it's also an engagement piece. Especially, COVID has shown us in that time people prefer to also use learning as
As a way to cope also.
as a way of coping. But also learning, COVID has brought up to us that it's not about the traditional way of learning.
Yes.
And it's bite-sized learning here and there. Productivity is that, engagement, because then you will see that through the engagement survey.
Yeah. Yeah.
If the organizations are doing an engagement survey, they will be able to see that.
Okay.
Another one is where people just have the learning culture. Is there a culture where people want to learn and not learning as formal learning, but does the company then allow the people to cross-functionally share the knowledge, and allowing people to learn. So those are, I think, effective strategies that you can use to see whether that's happening. But also, lastly, it's about the retention.
Retention.
Do people leave or do they stay? So after you have done, whatever the intervention is from a learning perspective, are they staying? And what's quite important also as from an HR perspective is that people deem learning as you just go for formal qualification.
Yeah.
But you've got coaching, which is also a learning piece, mentoring, which is a learning piece. You spending with someone on the floor,
Yes.
transferring that knowledge,
skill.
that skill, that knowledge on the floor. That's also part of learning. So it's about the retention. Also, do people leave the organization?
Yeah.
So those are where you can assess the ROI, which is the return on investment of the pillar.
Okay, I love how you answered your question because as you're sitting there, I've got questions popping in my head,
Okay. Throw them.
Yeah, I'm like, wait. So there are people that, immediately when you say learning or when you say development, they're thinking you're sitting with your notepad, you're writing how to become a leader. No.
Yes.
So I want you to please open up our minds about in your experience, what is learning, what is development. You've shared some examples, but I'd like you to touch more on that so that the people that are watching have a broader idea of learning and development.
Maybe let me start with giving a definition of what is learning and what's development.
Yes.
Learning is about the acquisition of knowledge, skills, and competencies, whereas development is more a learning journey, where whatever you have acquired as the knowledge, you're going to apply it and see, okay, how is this going to, take me to the next step?
Yes.
And that's the development part. And back to your question around then, what is learning actually? What we are doing now is learning.
I'm learning.
I'm imparting my knowledge to you.
True.
Right. And I think people undermine those engagement moments.
Yes.
Where people are learning because it's small. And if we change the narrative of learning being only formal qualification, we are missing the boat.
100%.
Yeah. So I think it's time that we need to reposition learning in what are those moments at the water cooler where employees are meeting. What are
Yes.
they discussing?
Yes.
In the meetings, are we having that cross-functional meetings
Yes.
in the business where people are sharing that knowledge? Are employees giving us feedback?
Because that's important.
It's important because that also it's a development piece, because when feedback is given, it's something that it's a gift. So someone gives you feedback in areas that you need to do development on.
Yes.
So I think feedback is quite important also in that piece. And then you've got the micro learning that is now up the
Micro-learning.
micro learning.
Okay.
Where people are not they are learning in bite sizes.
Okay.
So they would take a journey of 2 months module and then break it down in bite sizes.
Okay. That's a good strategy, actually.
Absolutely.
Because I, for one, I hate reading textbooks. So the bite should have come when I was learning in university. Hey,
Yes.
I almost mentioned the institution by mistake. But yeah, I hear that. I hear that a lot.
So what the micro learning does, it frees up the flexibility.
Okay.
So you become flexible in your learning.
Yes.
Because we are gone from the conventional sitting in classroom and learning, and personalizing learning journeys for people.
Yes.
Becomes so crucial from a perspective of ownership, but also from a perspective that it's going to yield results.
Yielding results. Yes.
So quite important that we also tap into, do we also give people that micro learning where people, or as an organization, is our catalog? Does it have part of it also micro learning? Part of that is, and I always work by this model, which is 70, 20, 10%.
Okay.
And
70, 20, 10%.
70, 20, 10%.
Okay.
And this model we use in learning and development, the 70 is all about what's happening on the floor. It's about you sharing your knowledge with your colleague, your colleague doing the other way around. You are being set and set on a stretch assignment.
Okay.
Where you get into someone's role to learn.
Okay.
Perhaps if you need to step into that role, so that will be your stepping stone.
Okay.
So the 20% talks a lot around the coaching, the mentoring, the webinars that you attend.
Yes.
And then the 10% is the formal.
Okay.
So that framework, I think if people use that framework of the 70, 20, 10 model, the learning happens throughout. And then it's just not the 10% of formal studies. Yeah.
Okay. So everything that you've said to me is impact, right?
Yes.
That gives birth to my next question.
Correct.
So in your experience, I'd like you to share an impact story that was achieved as a result of learning and development. I want to, one of our clients, Skills Panda, they have impact stories that are impactful. So we want a different view today. Please share with us.
So in most of the organization that I have been through, I've noticed that a lot of people have worked through their ranks. So formal qualification is something that's not imperative for some of the guys, and especially in the blue collar space, where people are physically doing stuff. They are quite aware of how the machine needs to run, how they need to pick up this and so forth. So it becomes the day-to-day routine. So sometimes they don't see the need of having a formal qualification. And I think that's where, as HR professionals, steps in and make them see the importance of also having that formal qualification. So in this areas where I've been working, there was a supervisory learning journey. So when these guys went through, when we introduced this learning journey, of course, it was quite foreign for them.
Of course, yeah.
Taking a blue collar worker into a space where he needs to work, learn, submit assignments. It was a daunting exercise, I must say. Some of them did not have grade 12.
Okay.
So I think throughout the journey, because I was the custodian of the program,
Okay.
I took it upon myself to really coach them,
Yes.
take step by step throughout the journey. When we had actually our graduation,
Okay.
the comments that came through from that guys were really, really
Impactful,
heartwarming.
ne? Yeah.
To say, I mean, this qualification is walking in freedom. Those were the comments. And it was really so heartwarming to hear that how the intervention has changed people's lives.
Yeah.
Some of which has taken that to a further step and enrolled themselves into institutions.
Right? Yes.
Absolutely.
It gave birth to that.
Correct. It has just opened up other doors. And my philosophy is learning and development is an enabler.
You see? I was waiting for this part. Yes. Yes.
Yes, it's an enabler. So I've left a couple of companies. I've seen people blossom. I mean, I'm in contact with some of them saying, I'm doing my diploma now. I'm doing my degree
nice.
now. And the funny part, I would not even say the funny part, but the epiphany they had upon themselves is, I thought all along that I will never be able to study.
Right?
But now that I got into that, I've actually noticed this is fun.
Yes.
This is fun. So that also on its own fosters the learning culture within the organization, which then spills over to, if you have a parent, to your kids at home. So the learning cycle is never ending.
It's never ending. It's never ending. And we can agree that the traditional way of learning is not working in this day. In this day and age.
Yeah.
Yes. And what are your views on that? How is technology assisting with keeping us up with, the trends, the current trends?
Well, and I also share the same sentiments.
Yes.
That the conventional way of learning has changed.
Yeah.
And I think primarily because of the Generation Z.
Oh,
They have
that
pushed us.
generation.
I would say they, because I'm not part of them.
No, we both are not, but yeah.
But besides that, I think also the world of technology.
True.
Yeah, right. And our role as HR professionals is to future-proof the business.
Yeah.
Through the current things that are happening.
Yeah.
And what micro-learning has done is, what the current state of learning has done, which is the unconventional way, it has allowed me to sit by the beach and study.
Yes.
It has allowed me to be in my patio. I love my plants, to listen to a podcast whilst I'm busy nurturing my plants. So that's how it has evolved.
Yes.
But also people are looking more to instant learning. What do I need now? And what is in the kitty that I can take out that's going to close that gap for me? So the blanket approach does not work.
Nope.
And therefore, you would have noticed I've alluded earlier on that personalized learning journey is quite important.
Yes.
Because it's personal. I take it to heart, and the engagement level is quite depth.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and that's how it's changed and how it has worked. It's impactful.
Yeah.
It has transitioned the business also.
True. Yes. Speaking of Gen Z people, let's talk about the youth of South Africa.
Yes.
I think maybe we share the same passion for that. I'm very passionate about the development of the youth because that's where your future is, right? So I'd like to know from you, in your opinion, how important is the development of the South African youth in this day and age?
The development, of course, is imperative.
Yes.
I mean, that's a no-brainer. It's quite so key.
Yeah.
From a sustainability development perspective, and one of our UN Sustainable Development Goals
Yeah.
refers to quality of education.
Yes.
And also it talks about no poverty. So to be sustainable, not only as South Africa, but also globally, education is quite key
100%.
from that perspective. What I've noticed from a South Africa development perspective, we are quite good in the skills development space.
I agree. I think that part is growing rapidly. And it's assisting in bridging the gap that already exists in that space. Yeah.
I love what you said. It's breaching the gap. But my question always, as a learning and development practitioner, is: do we do follow-ups after we have done the intervention?
Yes.
So I can send you, and you would complete an NQ level 5 or so forth. But then my role doesn't end there. And at some point, I feel as organizations, we do mostly learning and development, especially around the skills development, because we want to be compliant.
You know what? It's like you're living in my head, because I'm like, I want to ask you something actually. But yes, let me let you finish. Yeah.
Yes. Are we really intentional and aggressive in whatever strategies that we've put together to say we want to upskill or reskill the youth?
Upskill or reskill. Okay. Yes.
Do we want to upskill them? Do we want to reskill them? Currently, I'm busy with a corporate social responsibility strategy.
Okay.
And one of my aspects that I've put in was around, is our youth digitally savvy?
Because now we are digital.
Correct. China is on fifth industrial
and
revolution,
we are only
already.
catching up on the fourth.
We are catching up on the fourth. Having said that, I've also noticed that unemployment rate seems to be high still. And whilst that is high, my question is also, all the youth that is coming up, will they get a job?
Because it's one
impossible.
thing it's one thing to train and upskill, but there's still that obstacle. That's the word I'm looking for. Will they get employed?
Correct. And it's just impossible for the entire South Africa to absorb all the youth in the employment market. And my take is we need to create entrepreneurs. We need to create entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs that are youth that are ready, so that we don't teach our youth just to wanting to receive.
Ooh, Tuna.
But let's teach them. Let's teach them to make their own pot. To make their own muffins and to sell.
Yeah.
So I think South Africa needs to broaden their horizon in that perspective to teach our youth to be entrepreneurs at that age. For us to also have a sustainable country for now and for the future. And if we invest in really the entrepreneur, because, the skills development journey, we come a long way.
Yes.
People are aware. There are learnerships that's happening.
Yes.
Internships are there and so forth.
Programs.
How about really we make this entrepreneurship prominent in South Africa?
Yeah.
And say, how do we really assist our youth to change the mindset from just receiving to making their own pot?
Yeah.
I think if we do that, then we talk about youth development in its entirety.
True. You just touched on something. I remember, so I studied tourism, believe it or not. I don't know why, but I did. And one of my modules were entrepreneurship. And for the life of me, I didn't understand why. I felt that it was unnecessary. So what you've just said, I think now it's maybe 10 years later, I'm just like, that was necessary. If only my mind was opened up in that way to say, I could have maybe become a travel entrepreneur. In my head, I was thinking, I'm going to work in the travel industry and go to the airport. That's my, there was never a time where I was thinking, actually, how about I become the entrepreneur? I create the jobs.
Yes.
So I didn't think of it that way. So I love that a lot because people don't even know that a little thing like selling scones at the robots is entrepreneurship.
Correct.
So I think we're not encouraging it enough.
We don't, because it's deemed as a very low work.
Like
not
just
even
because I'm
work,
not
low
in the
income.
office.
Correct. So we need to change the narrative. I mean, if you can look at, we are no longer sitting in buildings anyway.
No.
We are working from home and so
Yes.
forth. So looking down on that type of things, you know, it's just taboo
Yeah. Yeah.
to do that. But also another thing where we need to include in youth development is leadership.
Yes.
Because it's the leadership that teaches you then how to deal with others, you know, in challenging times.
Yes.
And I must say, without trying to stigmatize, we have challenges with the Generation Z in the workspace.
I can imagine.
You know,
I can imagine.
and I don't blame them because the leadership aspect is not being covered
Yes.
at school, but also at the university level in depth. You know, and I'm also thinking around youth development. We need to relook at our syllabus at high school.
Yes.
What
yes.
are we teaching? What are we feeding our people?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because the question would be, I'm sitting today in HR, but I was doing geography.
Exactly.
And I'm asking myself, how does that
Exactly.
link up?
I just said I studied tourism, and look, I'm here.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. But I guess it's about the learning part.
Learning.
Yes.
I covered the learning part. Okay, Tuna. Wow, I'm really intrigued, and we're running out of time, unfortunately.
Okay.
I just want to know from you. We've got our viewers, right, that consistently watch our episodes.
Yes.
And I always encourage our guests to leave them with, words of encouragement, because we're finding that our viewers are people that have the willingness to learn. What is the one thing that you want to be remembered for, particularly in this episode? And when someone thinks of Tuna Bam, this is what they said.
Thanks for that question. I think one thing that the viewers should remember is change the narrative of learning from formal qualification.
Yes.
Learning happens every day.
Yes.
When you read an article, you are learning.
True.
When you listen to a podcast, you are learning. Whatever you have not known and that you know now, you have learned.
You have learned.
And that is quite important. Don't undermine the moments where you are learning and getting something new.
Yes.
Because that will change. If we change the mindset of learning from a formal qualification to a now,
Yes.
what's happening now for me, I think we are going to see the shift in knowledge,
True.
in the skills, behavior, but also the habits.
True.
Yes.
Habits. Okay, Tuna, we've reached the end of our episode. But before you go, we've got a little token of appreciation.
Thank you.
To say thank you for joining us. Let me
Okay.
quickly grab it.
Oh,
I'm too short. I'm too short. Oh, there it is.
oh. That was not even important.
There we go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, we just want to say thank you so much.
Yes.
We love and appreciate you.
Okay.
And please stay tuned for more of these mind-opening episodes. I think we've learned a lot. I really enjoyed this discussion. We're calling you for part 7.
Okay.
So we're having 7 episodes with you,
Okay.
free of charge. Thank you so much to our viewers. Thank you so much to our subscribers. We're coming with more. Please stay tuned. You're gonna learn. You're gonna grow. We hope that we're making an impact. And we hope that this is also used as a learning tool for you to, be equipped with knowledge. Stay tuned for episode 7, which we're dropping next week Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. See you next time.